Hello. I think it's good. Happy, what's today? Thursday. I almost forgot what day it was. Where are we? Hello, welcome. Make sure that's right. Hello. Trying to get that right. I have forgot. I know I can't. I've been like that for the past few weeks. All of my days are sort of running together. Hi. Doing good. How are you all doing? I'll get started in just a minute. Cool, we have people joining. I forgot I forgot days too ever since my dad passed. I'm so sorry your dad passed away. Mine actually did too, a while ago, from cancer. Not cool. Hey guys, I will get started in just a second. I'll let people filter in. The Salty Army. I haven't watched, I need to watch one of his, the Salty Cracker. I need to watch one of his live streams. I haven't watched one in a while, but they're so good. He's so funny. I lost my dad last September to COVID. I am so sorry to hear that. Hopefully your dad is in a much better place. It's really hard to lose someone. Greetings from the beach, umbrella drink in hand. I'm so jealous. I want to be at the beach with an umbrella drink. All right, I think we have enough here. We can get started. Oh, the best story has come out of CNN. It's so great. So I'm going to talk about CNN, the crazy hypocrisy that's going on in Los Angeles. It's unbelievable what's happening in Los Angeles, although I'm not surprised. And then we'll talk about Kavanaugh and this Roe versus Wade for a second, because I think they're really close to making a decision, and their intimidation techniques are pretty wild. So, but first, CNN. Is the woke news finally dying? I hope so. So just to update everyone, if you weren't on the live stream yesterday, or if you haven't been paying attention to what's happening with CNN, they've been kind of cleaning house. So a few months ago, there was a huge merger. It was Warner Media and Discovery, which CNN falls under. The largest shareholder in this merger actually said publicly that he wants CNN to go back to doing actual journalism, which, in my opinion, goes to show that he's not happy with the direction that CNN has gone in. Since Biden took office, they lost about 80% of their viewership. I think they were solely surviving on Orange Man Bad during the Trump administration. And then Trump was out, so that was sort of their like little golden goose egg. And since Biden took over, they lost a lot of their viewership. CNN Plus, they tried to do a streaming service, much like Fox Nation. Fox Nation does really good. CNN Plus tried to do a streaming service, and that lasted 22 days. They didn't have enough subscriptions. I think I get more views on my TikTok videos than CNN did on all of CNN Plus. So that didn't last. It's just been a mess. And I even watch a lot of liberal commentators, and even the liberal commentators that I watch, call CNN out like crazy. Everyone knows that CNN just straight up lies. They're partisan hacks and they're just full on propaganda. It wasn't always that way. I believe they used to be, I mean, I was much younger at the time, but I do believe they used to be much more middle of the road. And then Jeff Zucker took over, and he's the one that really pushed partisan politics. So it was sort of during his reign as the head of CEO that it started to become very hyper polarized and just straight up propaganda. Well, he resigned a while back when some allegations came up against him. What is his name? What is his name? Oh my gosh. I'm just drawing a blank. We hate him. Cuomo. Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo was out. So in my opinion, that with the merger with Chris Cuomo out, with Zucker out, I think that was a huge opportunity for the people that really wanted to revamp CNN. I think that was sort of their in to really start doing that. And it seems like that's what they're doing right now. And Brian Stelter's job might be on the line. Yes, Friedel. So this is quite funny. They do have a new CEO, and not CEO. Well, I don't know if he's a CEO. He's the head. I don't think he's called CEO. But he's the new head of CNN, Chris. And he has said that he wants to get back to more nuanced reporting, more objective reporting. He wants to have more people on from both sides, so more conservative opinions. He wants to get away from the breaking news banner. He doesn't want that used as much. He wants developing news. So he's starting to be vocal about making changes. And I do remember that before I even get into this article, I do remember him expressing that he wanted to get rid of some of the more hyper partisan television hosts. And I don't know how that's going to go over with Brian Stelter. So this is sort of the scoop on Brian, Mr. Potato Head himself. So it says, CNN's Brian Stelter, who delights in parroting leftist and Democratic Party narratives on his show, Reliable Sources, will be out of his job soon, according to a news report. So I actually saw this last night on Twitter's. This is John Nicosia, a journalist, says, source, Stelter is down to weeks, if not days, left at CNN. They go on. He is everything that reminds the new owners of the Zucker era they so desperately want to get past. More to come. Stelter, okay, here we go. They continue. Management is confident Stelter is the one sharing the internal pushback to fellow media reporters while simultaneously stirring discontent within the ranks. So do you remember what they said? They're reminding him of the Zucker era. That's really when a lot of this started, was under Zucker. Zucker is the one that really pushed his people to report in the news in a very partisan way. And now that he is out and this new guy is in charge, they want to get away from that. And it's smart for them to want to get away from that. CNN's ratings, like I said earlier, have completely tanked. And even liberals know that they are completely full of crap. My leg's asleep. In May, Chris Licht, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. So Chris, he's the new head of CNN. It's Licht. Licht? Chris Licht? I don't know. Let me know if you know how to pronounce that. So in May, Chris, who supposedly emphasized less opinion-oriented reporting, became the new head of CNN. Last Sunday, Reliable Sources had the worst rated episode since September 2019, reaching only 580,000 viewers, the smallest audience since September 15th, 2019. Lit. Oh, lit. Maybe. That's weird. That actually sounds about right, though. In a memo to employees, Chris wrote, "Too many people have lost trust in the news media. I think we can be a beacon in regaining that trust by being an organization that exemplifies the best characteristics of journalism: fearlessly speaking truth to power, challenging the status quo, questioning groupthink, and educating viewers and readers with straightforward facts and insightful commentary while always being respectful of differing viewpoints. Wow. So that's the memo that the new head of CNN wrote to their employees. Interesting. Licht does have a record of partisanship himself, having served as executive producer for The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. In April, the daily version of Reliable Sources was dropped by CNN after they pulled the plug on CNN Plus. That lasted 22 days. Remember? Thank you so much, Westfield. Keep it up. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. CNN Plus lasted just as long as the Ministry of Truth, the Disinformation Governance Board. They lasted the same amount of time. Whoops. That was my microphone that I'm not using. Okay, so in April, the daily version of Reliable Sources was dropped by CNN after they pulled the plug on CNN Plus. Reaction to the rumored fall of Stelter came quickly, so people have been sort of suspecting that he might not last long for quite a while now. Tim Pool said good to this news. Viva Fry, I don't know if you guys watch his YouTube channel. He has a really cool YouTube channel. Viva Fry said, I still feel bad for Brian Stelter in a way, though I am sure he will be fine financially, but there's no good honor among scoundrels. A bucket of rats will get along fine so long as there is enough to eat, but the second the food runs out, they literally devour each other. Wow. Someone said about Brian Stelter, maybe they'll move him over to CNN Plus. Oh, wait. Someone said, taters toast? Stelter has displayed his partisanship for years. In February, Stelter ripped podcast host, oh, remember this? Don't go after Joe Rogan. People love Joe Rogan too much. Just don't do it. It's not good. Stelter displayed his partisanship for years. In February, Stelter ripped podcast host Joe Rogan while trumpeting his own network, babbling, you think about major newsrooms like CNN that have health departments and deaths and operations that work hard on verifying information on the COVID. And then you have talk show stars like Joe Rogan who just swung it, making it up as they go along. And because figures like Rogan are trusted by people that don't trust real newsrooms, we have a tension, a problem that's much bigger than Spotify, much bigger than any single platform. This is what absolutely drives me bananas about people like Stelter. They're basically saying it right there. People trust Joe Rogan more than they trust our entire newsroom filled with fact checkers and this department, that department. Yeah, that's the problem, because you have all of those resources at your fingertips and you still lie. The reason people don't trust you is because you lie. And instead of looking in the mirror and wondering why people don't trust them, the reason people trust Joe Rogan is because he's a genuine dude. And you get that feelings from him. He asks legitimate questions. He doesn't say that he's a journalist. What Joe Rogan will say about himself is, Joe Rogan says, I'm just a dude that likes to ask questions and have conversations. That's all he is. And there is a problem that people trust someone like Joe Rogan more than they trust CNN. But that was a problem that was created by CNN. And people like Brian Stelter are so... It's almost like Taylor Lorenz that we were talking about yesterday, how she will try to do like a hit piece on Libs of TikTok. She'll try to do a hit piece on these content creators on YouTube that got a lot of traction during the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. There's a jealousy there. I really do think there's a jealousy because people like Joe Rogan, people like Libs of TikTok, they get more attention than Brian Stelter, than Taylor Lorenz. And Brian Stelter probably went to a prestigious school and got his prestigious piece of paper that said that he graduated in journalisming, and he has his prestigious job at the newsroom at CNN, yet he's not relevant. His opinions aren't relevant because nobody believes him, nobody trusts him. These content creators who have no degree in journalism are more relevant when it comes to news than Brian Stelter is, than Taylor Lorenz is, because people know that they lie. People know that they're partisan. People know that they have no interest in providing the truth. They have interest in providing whatever their pre-altered narrative is. They're pushing a narrative. They're not pushing the truth. That's why people don't like you. Joe Rogan might not be a journalist, but at least he's a dude that has honest conversations and seeks the truth. And here you have it right here. Too many people have lost trust in the news media. That's true. I think we can be a beacon in regaining trust by being an organization that exemplifies the best characteristics of journalism, fearlessly speaking truth to power. So that's what you're supposed to do as a journalist. You are supposed to speak truth to power. They were not doing that. They were actually doing quite the opposite. CNN protects the power. It lies for the power. It creates narratives for the power. It doesn't seek the truth. And that's why people don't trust them. That's why people don't watch them. That's why more people watch Fox News than CNN. That's why they lost 80% of their viewers. The few viewers that they did have it was almost like hate porn, Orange Man bad hate porn. That's who their viewership was. Challenging the status quo is what they're supposed to do. They're not challenging the status quo. They're protecting the status quo. Questioning groupthink. They're not questioning groupthink. They're encouraging groupthink. They're saying, don't question our narrative. If you question, you're bad. If you question, you're a bigot. You should listen to what I have to say. That's what they say. And educating viewers and readers with straightforward facts and insightful commentary. So there's several types of journalism. There's objective journalism, which you're just giving the facts, and your audience does not know your opinion. Either way. There's point of view journalism, which is what they're saying, which is where you present the facts, you give the facts of both sides, and then you give your opinion on the thing as a whole. But when you're doing point of view journalism is okay. It's okay to give your opinion and to be biased, but you tell people, this is my opinion. This is my bias. And then there's propaganda. And CNN is not one, they're not two, they're three. They're full-on propaganda. Last December, Stelter ranted to Julie Pace, executive director and vice president of the Associated Press, "Can you call out GOP extremism?" 2 months before that, Stelter mocked Florida GOP Governor Ron DeSantis after DeSantis had slammed the legacy media, saying they lie to the American people. Nicholas Sandmann, who was smeared by multiple news outlets, including CNN, after his encounter with a Native American activist at the 2019 March for Life in Washington, D.C., used one word to decimate Stelter: howdy. In October 2018, Stelter ripped Fox News host and President Trump as the cause of the massacre at a Pittsburgh synagogue, asserting that their language helped trigger the shooter who committed the deadliest attack on Jews in American history. Stelter called for Fox News hosts to do some soul searching. I think Stelter is the one that should do some soul searching. Stelter offered no pushback after psychiatrist Alan Francis compared former President Trump to Hitler, Stalin, and Mao. Lumping the mentally ill with Trump is a terrible insult to the mentally ill, and they've had enough problems and stigma as it is, Francis burbled. The second issue is calling Trump crazy hides the fact that we're crazy for having elected him and even crazier for allowing his crazy policies to persist. Trump is as destructive as a person in this century as Hitler, who killed 6 million Jews, Stalin, and Mao were in the last century. He may be responsible for many more millions of deaths than they were. Wow, that sounds credible. And that, Brian Stelter, is why no one likes you. Potato Man. Someone said, Has anyone checked on Steven Crowder? He's most likely devastated. It is sad to see Stelter go, if he does go. A lot of comedy came out of that show. But you know, that's how people like Stelter are. They don't look in the mirror as to why people don't trust them anymore. They just blame it on everyone else. I'm Brian Stelter. I wear a tie. So you should believe everything I say because I have a tie on. And a bald head. And I look like a potato. So that's good news. It'll actually be interesting to see. CNN, I feel like they've already started to be a little bit more honest, and I don't know if that's why. Bye. I don't know if it's because of this new leadership or if it's just because it's so bad. The Biden administration is so bad that they kind of have to be honest. Even they have to call them out. Oh, man. His show could be called Unreliable Sources. Oh, yeah, and that's, how funny is it that his show is actually called Reliable Sources? Okay, update with George Gascon. Stelter eats tofurkey. Update with George Gascon. This, every single time there is a high-profile crime that happens. Alka Stelter. Every single time there is a high-profile crime that happens in Los Angeles, you look back and realize, wow, this is why it happened. So, George Gascon, have you gone to see the new Top Gun yet? No, I haven't. I was actually just talking with someone about that last night. I might go see it today or tomorrow. Maybe. I haven't decided yet. But I was talking to a few people last night also, and they were like, you have to go see it. It's so good. I kind of want to watch the first one over again, too. I did watch a preview of it last night, and it looked pretty cool. Okay, maybe I'll either go see it today or tomorrow. I'll have to figure it out. I haven't been to a movie theater since the beginning of COVID. It's pretty crazy because I used to go see movies all the time. They pulled Top Gun from IMAX? George Gascon, yes. Wait, so the movie theater that I would be going to, I know they have IMAX, and I did see that they were showing it on IMAX. I didn't look. See, I can die happy, Liz. Okay, so update on George Gascon. So yesterday on the live stream, we were talking about 2 El Monte police officers that were shot and did not make it. They were responding to a domestic violence call, and we got more information about the person that is responsible for this. And I must say, every time I read this, it makes me sad, although I'm not surprised. So we're going to get into it. A lot of people are really mad, and this is going to do nothing but help the recall effort. And if you weren't here yesterday, the effort to recall, so George Gascon is one of the super progressive soft on crime DAs, and a lot of people are holding him responsible for a lot of the violence that's happening in Los Angeles because, you'll see why right here, every time there's a high profile crime, you look at the history of this person and their criminal history, and you're thinking, this person should have been in jail. But they were let out on probation or the soft on crime policies, which is what happened right now. So the effort to recall George Gascon, they have already reached enough signatures to kick off the election in November, and they still have until July 6th to get more signatures. And they're going to keep getting as many signatures as they can. You want well over the threshold because there are going to be a number that aren't verifiable. They have to be verified signatures. So that means you have to be a registered voter in Los Angeles. Your address has to match up with your name and all that stuff. So they assume that not all of the signatures are going to be able to be verified. So you want some extra padding, and that's what they're getting right now. I am fully confident that it's going to kick off an election in November. That's how I'm feeling right now. I hope I'm right, but I do feel really confident that it's going to go through. And what just happened is doing nothing but help. So just the other night, 2 officers are no longer with us. They were ambushed. And this is what we know right now about the person that did this. So this is Bill Malusian from Fox LA, and he says, new, per sources, the gang member who fatally shot 2 El Monte PD officers last night was on probation for felon with a firearm after he received a bare minimum sentence and plea deal under Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascón last year, despite having a previous strike on his record. Law enforcement sources tell me Justin William Flores had a previous strike conviction in 2011 for PC 459, but that he still received the absolute bare minimum sentence for his felon in possession of gun charges last year in accordance with Gascon's policies, 2 years probation. The 2 fallen officers have now been identified. Sources in the LADA's office tell me if this case had been prosecuted without Gascon's policies in February 2021, Flores would have likely been behind bars on a 2 to 5 3-year minimum sentence. Instead, he was out on probation last night. Los Angeles District Attorney sources tell me even though Flores had a strike on his record, it was not considered during this gun case in February 2021 in accordance with Gascon's policies of not prosecuting California's 3 strikes law. A trial court in California appellate court now have both ruled Gascon's policy was illegal. Gascon's policies also suggest his offices may pay for the funeral of the cop killer. When he took office, he issued a policy stating that his office would pay the funeral expenses if people were killed by police, regardless of the state of the investigation or charging decision. So what an absolute disgusting slap in the face is this? First of all, if it weren't for Gascon's policy, this guy would have been behind bars. And this is also the policy that the appellate court ruled was illegal. Oh, Eva's my cat. And she's right here. Do you see her? She's sleeping. Also, Gascón, and I remember this too, when Gascón took office, he issued this thing because he was trying to be also social justice-y woke. He issued a statement saying that if anyone was killed by police, they would pay for the funeral of that individual. So according to his policies, even though this individual, 2 officers ambushed them, he was fatally shot by other officers, I believe. So now his funeral might be paid for. Isn't that lovely? Doesn't our criminal, this is criminal justice reform for people that are super progressive. It gets better though. It gets better. It gets way better. On June 3rd, after the wake of what happened in Uvalde, Gascón issued this statement on his Twitter. He said, "Thoughts and prayers are not enough," said LA County District Attorney George Gascón, urging leaders to come together on real solutions for sensible gun control and limit access to military-style assault rifles and ghost guns, okay? So that's what he said in the wake of Uvalde. So Bill Malusian responded to this. He retweeted that again and responded to this by saying, Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascón recently spoke about the need for sensible gun laws. California has some of the toughest gun laws. If they are enforced, California has some of the toughest gun laws if they are enforced. His office gave a felon gang member with a prior strike a plea deal for probation on his gun charge instead of prison. He killed 2 cops on Tuesday. What a big pile of hypocrite trash George Gascon is. That's what drives me crazy about these super progressive people that get behind and endorse people like George Gascon that want to sit there and talk about gun laws. We need to restrict guns. Guns are dangerous. Oh yeah? Then why didn't you put this gang member who has a strike and a felon charge of having a gun? Why is he not behind bars? Oh, and he just offed 2 officers. Such hypocrisy. These people are not serious people. They don't care. It's all political pandering. They do not care about safety. They do not care about people's lives. It is all a political game to them. And that's what George Gascon is. Sorry, that makes me so mad. You want to get there and talk about gun safety, yet you don't enforce laws that would help get guns off the street and that would help get bad guys off the street that do bad things with guns. You don't make any sense. You're a political hack. Ugh. Los Angeles District Attorney George Gascon, whose soft on crime policies have been blamed for putting residents at risk, is being harshly criticized after a notorious criminal offed 2 police officers this week after he was given probation instead of a jail term in 2020 over an illegal gun charge. Justin William Flores, on parole at the time of the shooting, made a plea deal whereby he received 2 years probation and 20 days in jail in 2020 because of Gascon's policy of not prosecuting 3 strikes cases, which now has been deemed by a lawyer illegal. So they said what he was doing by not prosecuting 3 strikes was illegal. And he was out of his authority to be doing that. And this is the thing. George Gascon's only job is to enforce laws. That's his job, is to enforce laws. It's the legislative branch who legislates laws. He's acting like he's acting out of bounds. His job is to enforce laws, not to create laws and decide which laws he wants to enforce. That's why this judge deemed what he was doing illegal. Prior to Gascon's policy, Flores could have been sent back to prison for a minimum of 3 years, as he had already served time in prison twice for felony burglary and car theft. Flores had been barred from carrying a gun since 2011. Court records also showed at least a dozen other prosecutors, many resolved with no contest pleas and probationary sentences for charges such as driving with suspended license, being under the influence of a controlled substance, or resisting arrest. Law enforcement sources told the I-Team they believed at least one of the 2 murdered officers would have recognized Flores on sight and by name. On Wednesday, Gascon's office defended the decision of the softer sentence for Flores, stating the sentence he received in the firearm case was consistent with case resolutions for this type of offense, given his criminal history and the nature of his offense. At the time the court sentenced him, Mr. Flores did not have a documented history of violence. What separates Gascon from all the rest of the elected rogue prosecutors is the breadth, scope, and immediate impact of his pro-defendant and... Okay, this is important. I want to read this again. This is very true. Because what's really interesting with Gascon is the immediate impact. Is every single time one of these high-profile cases makes it into the news, whether it was Breonna Kupfer, whether it was the 70-year-old nurse who was pushed at a bus station and is no longer with us, even going back to Lady Gaga's dogs, like all of these high-profile, Jacqueline Avant in Beverly Hills, every single one of these high-profile cases, if you look at the criminal's history, they should have been behind bars, and it is George Gascon's policies that are the reason that they were not behind bars. It's actually rather fascinating how quickly you can make that connection that immediately goes right back to Gascon and his policies. It really is fascinating. But I want to read again what this person says. What separates Gascon from all the rest of the elected road prosecutors is the breadth, scope, and immediate impact of his pro-defendant, anti-victim policies, which are contained with 9 sweeping special directives to all Los Angeles deputy district attorneys and were published 1 minute after he was sworn into office. The effects of these special directives were explained here. This will be interesting. And as soon as he got elected, they're right, within minutes after he was elected and sworn into, not elected, but after minutes after he was sworn into office, he emailed out all of these directives. The late Corporal Michael Paredes is survived by his wife, daughter, and son, while late Officer Joseph Santana is survived by his wife, daughter, and twin sons. El Monte Interim Police Chief Ben Lowry stated, these are the officers that are not with us anymore that got ambushed Tuesday night. These 2 men were loved, were good men. They paid the ultimate sacrifice serving their community, trying to help somebody. They were murdered by a coward, and we are grieving, and it hurts. George Gascon responded to this and said, on behalf of everyone in the district attorney's office, I want to extend my heartfelt condolences to the families, friends, and colleagues of the 2 El Monte police officers who were killed in duty today. We stand with you at this time of great loss. Beatrice Cardins, I don't know who that is, but she responded. She said, if I were you, I would save this tweet as a template so you could just edit the police department name if you're going to keep dumping into our society these dangerous criminals. Sending condolences is a part of the failure of your administration. I agree. Ted Cruz responded, Officers Paredes and Santana gave their lives in service of their fellow citizens. It is outrageous. The murderer was not in jail due to the reckless actions of George Gascon, a radical, soft-on-crime, Soros-backed DA. These are true facts. In March 2021, Gascon whined when he heard a recall petition was to be filed against him. Here in Los Angeles, we are seeing a backlash against reform fueled by conservative media, law enforcement unions, and other tough-on-crime types. From fear-mongering to scare tactics, we are watching history repeat itself. But this time, reform will prevail. That's what he said about this recall effort that is against him. And this is what they all do. This is what Chesa Boudin did in San Francisco. It's right. They're right-wing. This is the same thing that Gavin Newsom did. They're right-wing extremists. It's the ultra MAGA crowd. I don't know. I don't think it's working anymore. And the truth of the matter is, it's not. It's these are regular people that just want government to do the most basic form of government duty, and it is just to, can we just keep our streets safe? Can I just walk down the street without fearing? Last month, Gascon was slammed after a trans convicted child bad personer got a light sentence and later was charged with offing someone, Hannah to doing bad things to a 10-year-old girl in a Palmdale, California Denny's restroom in 2014. When he was 17, pleaded guilty 8 years later after DNA evidence led police to him. He began identifying as a woman and was sentenced to just 2 years in juvenile facility despite being 26. In a case that sparked a fury at Gascon. So this individual was 26 years old and was sentenced to 2 years in juvenile because the crime happened when that person was 17. And it was a predatory behavior towards a young girl. So now we're going to put this person with young people again, and that's appropriate. Gascon refused to prosecute Tubbs in adult court. His policy stated at the time that minor offenders be tried in juvenile court, as Tubbs was 17 at the time of the assault. Tubbs later pled not guilty to the unrelated April 21st, 2019 offing of Michael Clark. Fox News obtained a recording of Tubbs in jail bragging to his father about getting off easy. "Don't worry about it," Tubbs said. "It's a strike, but they're going to plead. I'm going to plead out to them and plead guilty. You won't have to register. I won't have to do none of that." "So what are they going to do with you then?" "Nothing," Tubbs laughed. "I also don't..." So basically this was Tubbs kind of bragging to his father that he's not going to have to register as an offender. "Nothing's going to happen to me. I can just plead guilty." I don't know if you know this too, but there was a story about a gang member who got a tattoo of Gascón on his face. He was either a murderer or a gang member, probably both, I don't know. But when your job is to prosecute crime, this is everything you need to know about George Gascón in a nutshell. If your job is to prosecute crime and criminals are getting your name tattooed on their face, you're not doing it right. I don't think you're doing it right. Anyway, there's that. Okay, now I needed a story that was not political for a few minutes, but this is just where we're at as a society. So this is not doing it right. Yeah, you're not doing it right, man. Hello, Braxton. This guy couldn't prosecute a walnut. Well, that's what's so frustrating, because now you have an imbalance. This is why all this stuff is happening in Los Angeles. So you have, in the criminal justice system, you have the public defender's office and the district attorney's office. The public defender is supposed to be a public defender, and the district attorney is supposed to prosecute. But now essentially in Los Angeles, you have two public defender's office and no one that's prosecuting, because you have Gascón, and he's actually hired public defenders that have no experience prosecuting crime. He has hired public defenders that work with him now. So now you basically have two public defender's offices, because George Gascón is running his office like a public defender's office. And you have an imbalance in the criminal justice system, which is what you're seeing in Los Angeles right now. Okay, let's talk about this person. Yeah, this is where we're at as a society right now, where everyone is a victim. So this TikTok star says a New York ranch employee wouldn't let her ride horses because of her weight. A TikTok star said she was kicked out of a horse ranch in New York for weighing too much. Remy Bader, a 26-year-old curve model with over 2 million followers on TikTok, posted a video on June 11th saying the Deep Hollow Ranch in Montauk told her to leave because she weighed over 240 pounds. Bader gained millions of followers after posting curve-friendly fashion tips and videos of her realistic clothing purchases. Wow, so this person got famous for buying clothes and showing them off. Cool. World's most grateful horse. It was very embarrassing in her video. The ranch did not immediately respond to McClatchy News, that's what news I'm on, request for a comment. The business did have a blog post about weight limits for horse riders. Bader said she wished the information was posted on signs. A teenage employee at a horse ranch posted a TikTok video in response to Bader's. I can't even say this, hold on. Oh, okay, so a teenage employee at the horse ranch posted a TikTok video in response to Bader's video. When you are not a fat bee, you can ride at Deep Hollow Ranch, the worker says as he is standing in a horse pen. A day later, the employee made another video apologizing to Bader. I am so sorry for what I said. I didn't mean it at all. I don't represent the ranch with what I said at all. It was all on me. I had nothing to do with them. They had no idea that I was doing it. Deep Hollow Ranch also acknowledged the video that was posted by the teenager. It has come to our attention that a TikTok video was posted. Here's the thing. Okay, so she made a whole video talking about how this was embarrassing and all of this. There is a weight limit on horses. You can injure the horse if you weigh too much. I'm sorry, but that is an effect of weighing that much. It's not healthy to weigh that much. And you could injure the horse. And it's so interesting because there is a story. I don't know if you all heard this story. I think it was in Florida. So this happens on rides as well. There are weight limits because it can be unsafe. There was a story about, I think the kid was 13. I want to say he was a football player. Really big kid, really tall and just big, was overweight. And he went to an amusement park. He was on vacation with his friend and his friend's family. They went to an amusement park and he was told on several rides that he couldn't get on because he was over the weight capacity. Well, there was one ride. It was one of those rides that drops. You know those rides at amusement parks? They go like everyone sits in a circle. You're facing outward. Your feet are kind of dangling down. You go all the way up to a height, for lack of a better word, and then it drops you. It's just one of those drop rides. Well, he got on the ride. He was over the weight limit, but nobody said anything. They didn't double check him. He ended up falling off and he passed away. So really bad things can happen. And, you know, you can't be worried about hurting someone's feelings because it could be a potential safety issue. And in that case, with that young boy, it was. If someone would have said, I'm sorry, you're over, if someone would have checked him and said, I'm sorry, you are over the weight limit, it's a safety issue, you're not going to be able to ride this ride, it would have hurt his feelings. Yeah, it probably would have embarrassed him, but he would still be alive. And in this case, you could potentially hurt a horse. You could hurt yourself if the horse gives out and you fall off the horse. I don't know. But, you know, it is what it is. That's reality. And we are so scared to hurt anyone's feelings that we're not being honest with people. It's not healthy to be that weight. And you should want to try to get healthier and lose weight, not for appearance sake, for your own health. It's just not healthy. And they have every right to want to protect their horses. And you, essentially. It's just so funny. The whole video was made out of it. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. The teenager, he died, and I think he was too big, so his harness wouldn't close properly, and as they were going down, he fell right through it and did not make it. Does Eva want a pony? Eva, well, they're not out there anymore, but we actually, on this property, there used to be horses, and I used to ride the horses. They're not there anymore. But Eva would get very close to the horses, and then she's scared of them, though, because they're very big. Yeah, they're cool horses. Sarah, are you still on the East Coast? Yes, I am still on the East Coast. I will be making my way back to California eventually. I know you all think I'm crazy. But I really liked my little neighborhood. I really did. Oh, my geese made it up to Canada safe and sound. That's good news. I love, it's so crazy. There are so many critters. Like I'm used to living, before I lived in California, I lived in Denver, Colorado, which we still went out. Like we went to the mountains all the time, and there's some desert there, and there's all kinds of stuff there, and went to a lot of national parks. So I would see a lot of wildlife, but I lived like within Denver, like within the city in a very urban area. The same with, California. I lived in a very urban area, and it's just crazy how many critters there are around here. Like when I go outside, there's every kind of bird, there's turtles, there's lizards, there's bunnies and squirrels, there are moles and groundhogs and deer, just all over the place. The other day I was walking around a park that's close to where I live, and there was I think it was a groundhog. I think they said it was a groundhog, but he was just watching me. It was so funny. I have a video of it. It's on my phone, so I can't show you right now. But he was in the grass, and he would get down, and then he would stand up and look at me and get back down, and he would stand up and look at me and get back down, and then eventually he ran off into the woods. But it's just there's so many little animals and critters and everything. It's crazy. It's like I feel like Snow White when she exits the cabin and all the animals are like all around. That's how I feel every morning when I go outside. Just birds and squirrels and bunnies. We have tons of wildlife. Yeah, just everywhere. Geese. There's a groundhog under my shed at home. It's a dog's nemesis. Are you buffering? If the groundhog sees its shadow, does that mean there's 6 more weeks of shelter? Is anyone watching these? Is anyone watching these? I'm pretty much done, so I'm just chatting now, if you don't mind. Has anyone watched these Amber Heard? Just chatting now, if you don't mind. Has anyone watched these Amber Heard interviews on Good Morning America? So there were 2 days of Amber Heard interviews on Good Morning America, and then today, an anonymous juror actually came out and made some statements about the trial and about Amber Heard. It was pretty wild. So Amber was saying in her interviews, how could the jury not have looked at social media? How could they not have been charmed by Johnny Depp? Everybody loves Johnny Depp, and that's why. She keeps defaming, yeah. So she said that's why they couldn't be, and statements to Good Morning America, and they said, the reason we found her guilty is because none of her story added up. It wasn't consistent. In fact, she made a lot of us uncomfortable. This is what the person said. She made a lot of us uncomfortable. Her emotions would change. 1 second, she would be almost appeared to be like fake crying, and the other second she would be stone-faced, cold. And then he said she kept looking at us while she was talking, which made us extremely uncomfortable. And they just said none of the evidence proved what she was alleging. But I don't think he is a wife beater. Exactly. And they also said that she didn't have, that's the thing, like Johnny Depp has issues. And he came right out and he said, I have these issues. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I've said things. I have drug and alcohol problems, but I did not do what this person is alleging that I did. And Amber Heard didn't have, I would have winked at her. Amber Heard didn't have any accountability, and she just wasn't believable. They also said that the whole thing about the donations just really ruined any of her credibility. She said that she was going to be donating her entire $7 million divorce settlement to the Children's Hospital and the ACLU. She even said on a television show that she already donated it, and they brought that in court, and they were like, yeah, that just ruined it. But it was so creepy. Like, during her interviews, at the end of it, she was like, I still love Johnny and all of this. And it just really, really creeped me out. I'm scared. Like, that woman is scary. And she keeps saying that he lied. She keeps defaming him. She was found guilty of defamation, and then she keeps repeating. I think he could, I'm not a lawyer, but I think he could almost, if he wanted to, technically sue her again for defamation. I don't think he will. That would be a big hassle. I think it would be hilarious if he did. I sort of want him to, but I don't think he will. All right, everyone, that's everything that I had for you today. She's playing the victim and will always. She is like my sister. I know. I think that's one of the things that is so fascinating about this trial, because I think like we all know someone that is like really, really toxic, and she kind of reminds us of them. She reminds me of a few people that I know as well, and it's so icky. It's so icky. Ugh. All right, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you later. I'll be live again tomorrow at the same time. If you want to join, it would be fun. I might be live again later tonight. I don't know, but if I do, I will announce it. All right, see you later. Have a good day. Bye.